This is his first time, if I'm not mistaken, speaking to our group, Tim Baker, and he's going to be talking about the terminal app. Now, it sounds kind of dangerous, but he's going to show us the ropes and hopefully not get us into too much trouble. So, Tim, I am going to turn it over to you. I'm going to stop sharing, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and good morning to everybody. I'm certainly privileged to be invited to present, and I'm really excited to be doing this presentation in the middle of the Worldwide Developers Conference. In fact, I was disappointed, or I'm not disappointed, but surprised that you're not bumping me. But anyway, we're excited about seeing Jason Snell talk about everything next week, and you're just going to have to wait for him. So here's a little self-promoting slide of me and Jason. So we had an acquaintance way back in 2007 at Macworld during the introduction of when Mr. Jobs said it's an iPod, it's an iPhone, it's an external, it's an internet mobile communicator. So it was the introduction of the iPhone that I got to privileged to meet Jason Snell. So today we're going to talk about we're going to do an introduction to the Mac OS terminal, and hopefully we're going to show your Mac who is boss. So we'll move on from there. So back in September, a little background, September 13th of 2000, there was an introduction of Mac OS 10 beta. It was released to the world. As you remember, this is when Steve Jobs said that this eloquent new Aqua GUI had the screen looked so good, had icons you wanted to lick. So, and the new feature added to this operating system was the terminal, thanks to the underpinnings of Darwin, the open source operating system based on Next Step, Mach, and BSD. So being Unix based, this made an opportunity to have the terminal available. And actually, some time ago, previous to this, back in 1988, 97, with System 6 and System 7, there was a system called AUX. And at that point in time, we were also privileged to have a terminal available, but unfortunately, that AUX didn't continue, and it was discontinued and not available for Power PC Macs. So why Unix? What is Unix? Unix is a family of multitasking, multi-user computer operating systems developed in the early 70s by Bell Labs. It's a reputation for stability, security, and scalability. It features a command line interface. That's what we're going to talk about today, and it allows users to interact with the system through a series of commands rather than through the graphical user interface that we're also used to. So this is an illustration of something that we all give very little thought to. This is actually the heart of the Mac experience. This is where the complexities and science and technologies all come together to make the Mac OS such a powerful, secure, fascinating experience. As you can see, the Darwin, the Unix core, just above the hardware base. So this is an advertisement that came out in 2002 advertising the Titanium PowerBook G4. The words dev null is a saying that basically it's a file location that any data written to it is actually not saved. So it's even though the operating system reports that it was saved. So my goal today, obviously, is to help you eventually say that you're no longer afraid of using the terminal. So you'll no longer be intimidated, hopefully, by the end of this presentation. So if you don't find my presentation educational, I hope you at least find it entertaining. Furthermore, I wanted to let you know that I'm not an expert. There's a lot of things that I don't know, but I certainly enjoy sharing with you the things that I do know. So move on from there. So about 120 years after this fellow, Charles Babbage, known as the father of computing, invented the difference engine #1, came along the command line interface, basically in the early 50s. And until there was paper and punched cards. So when in 1955, the Whirlwind became the first computer to allow users to use a keyboard for input. I was about 4 years old when that took place. So now we have the command line interface available to us, which was utilized long before the graphical user interface was available. So we enter the telex teletype. This was invented in the late 1800s and then widely used for communications in the late 50s and became widespread in the mid 60s. The command line remained the primary method of computer input until the early 90s. There was DOS and CP/M and Apple DOS and so forth. And actually, this was my first experience with a hands-on experience with a computer. So my dad was actually employed by General Electric back then, from the late 50s through the 70s. And we actually had one of these terminals in our house, if you can believe that. So, and Eckert may be interested to know that my dad worked with NASA as a contractor. And he reported to Dr. Warner von Braun and to Dr. Helmut Hosler. So I thought that was very interesting. I remember actually standing in another room and seeing Dr. von Braun, and as a kid, you know, to me, it wasn't near as fascinating as it is now to think that I actually stood in the same room as Dr. von Braun. So this was about the time in the beginning. This is what this is about the time when Dartmouth College Center in Hanover, New Hampshire, and General Electric Advanced Systems in Phoenix, where my dad worked, actually created the first time-sharing computer. And this, like I said, this was my first exposure to the basic programming language. So this is kind of what it looked like back then when you signed on with your user number and typed in the program that you wanted to run. This is the display that you got. Actually, it wasn't a display. It was printed on paper tape, or printed on roll paper. This color, actually, yellow. Yeah. So today, the terminal is found within the utilities folder, within the applications folder. I'm sorry, within the applications folder in the utilities folder. And you can see that I've illustrated it with a circle around it. And I'm sure you've probably seen it there and maybe even been afraid to touch it. So this is, so if you're brave enough, here's what it looks like. So it's kind of intimidating looking. There's nothing lickable here, obviously. So you may ask why. And so what do I do now? You know, what does the terminal app do that I would ever need? I'm certainly not a developer. There might be a few NMUG members out there that are indeed developers, and they might even do a better job of presenting this topic than me, but I'm going to do my best. So to answer the question why, it's the single most powerful tool on your Mac, believe it or not. So there's not a button and a slider or a checkbox for everything in the GUI. So that makes the terminal the most powerful tool on your Mac. So you can overcome the limitations of the GUI by using the terminal. You can tweak, or if you're not even careful, break your Mac in ways not available when using the GUI. So an example would be to just ask Sheeta. It would happen to her while she was experimenting with the terminal. And I wanted to add an important note here that the terminal commands that attempt to change the NVRAM or the SMC settings have unexpected results when you're on Apple Silicon. So you need to be extremely careful if any of the commands that you're entering offer to change either the SMC or the NVRAM, because the NVRAM is handled differently on the Apple Silicon. So this is pardon me, is there a comment?
Oh, no. I was just laughing.
Okay. Yeah. So this topic is obviously quite technical and may not appeal to absolutely everybody. So the terminal obviously can be a delicate app to use. It has very little tolerance for mistakes. So the last thing I want to do actually is be a reason for you to have a problem with your Mac. So please be careful, I ask. So this is an example. So right here, this happened back in May of 2012, where somebody got on the terminal and actually deleted Pixar's Toy Story 2 by accident. So I thought that was pretty interesting. They used just that little simple command, that RM-R-F with a star there, which basically sought out the entire project of Toy Story and deleted it. So fortunately, they obviously were able to recover it, because we would have missed it in the theaters if they didn't. So, and you are backing up, I hope so. No, move on for there. So let's see. So you're bound to someday stumble across an article, a magazine article, a tech publication or whatever that contains a terminal program command looks like this. Say, for instance, this command was how we had to, back in, I think it was 2016, Apple had discontinued the startup chime, which I would think most all of us missed. I did. I was, when you lifted the lid on my laptop and didn't hear the chime, I was immediately alarmed that something was wrong with my Mac. But now, fortunately, with all the whining, I'm sure that others contributed to Apple, now they've obviously made this a system setting that you don't have to use the terminal anymore to go in there and re-enable your startup sound. But I just wanted to make you aware that this is the kind of things that you may run into, and I'm going to try to help you not be intimidated. So if you see something like this in a publication, that you're not intimidated to open up that terminal application and give it a try. So it can also, believe it or not, be fun. So this is actually one of the questions that she'd asked me when I offered to present. She said, I'm curious about what is fun about using the terminal. So well, I think it can be fun, certainly. Along with it can be educational, it can be entertaining, obviously challenging, exciting, rewarding, and even possibly addictive. So especially if you're a little geeky like I am, I'm obviously, you can tell by the looks of my room in the background earlier, I'm a genuine old geek. So, but I also think it's a fun experience. So here I'm opening up for my first opportunity to answer any questions if I have any out there.
I don't really see any right now.
Okay.
Hold on, Greg. Can you open your mic and ask your question?
Yes. Do you have any comments about using rsync for an additional backup to a Mac?
I do not have experience with rsync. I apologize. I use Carbon Copy Cloner for the most part to back my Mac up. I do not have any experience with rsync, and I apologize. So okay. I cannot accurately answer your question. I apologize.
All right. That's all right. Thank you, Greg. Ward, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
When Tim showed his screen, it showed that he was using Bash shell. And so I started my terminal to see what it's showing. And it says now the default interactive shell is now ZSH.
And that's a topic that I'm going to get to here just very shortly. We're going to talk about all the different shell environments that are available to your Mac and how for you to be able to determine what shell you're currently using. So we're going to talk about that.
Okay, thank you, Ward. And one question from Baxter, which is very appropriate. Baxter, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, if you do mess up something like that, is Time Machine able to restore the files at that level?
A Time Machine backup it does not actually back up the operating system. Time Machine backs up all the associated files as far as what the other contents of your Mac, but unfortunately to use a Time Machine or to restore from a Time Machine, you would have to reinstall the operating system and then import all your data, and obviously you would refer to a previous Time Machine backup if you did something, to devastately, or if you devastated your Mac for the most part. Hopefully you had a recent Time Machine backup to restore from. But I really hope, obviously, as you do, that you don't run into that situation. I've been playing with the terminal for years. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but I have yet to damage my Mac in any form or fashion that I've needed to reinstall the operating system. So I hope what I'm going to show you today, it's not really technically advanced. I'm just going to try to introduce you to the terminal and help you to become more comfortable. But obviously, I'm sure, like what you saw there with the example with Toy Story, there obviously is, if you input an incorrect command and don't really pay attention to what it is you're doing, certainly you could destroy your data. But yes, if the time machine backup would be able to restore it.
Can I offer a comment here? Because when I used a command on the terminal that was not appropriate for my M2.
Yes.
And yeah, and when my computer restarted, it gave me a giant exclamation mark, and I'd never ever seen that before. I was frantic. So, but in the process of restarting the machine gave me a message that my operating system needed to be restored. So it was telling me that it was going to fix whatever problem I caused, and it did. It also told me it was going to take, 4 or 5 hours to do that. It took 15 minutes. So I think there's a fail-safe now that you have the two systems with the data and the operating system on basically separate entities. And correct me, those of you who know better, correct me if I'm wrong. So the mistake I made, the computer corrected itself, because there could still be that, and there is that hidden drive that we don't see, the recovery drive that we don't see, that we don't get to mess with, that's in the operating system for those of us who make big, mistakes like that. So if some of you know better than what I just said, or know more, please let me know. And all right, but other than that, I think that will help ease your mind about you basically eviscerating your computer and the data on it.
And actually, that, because you brought that up when I had gotten with you previously to test all this, when you told that to me, I did that little research, and I did find out that the NVRAM settings, obviously, if the terminal command contains a change in the NVRAM, that it indeed has unexpected results with Apple's M1 series or M2 or M3 series Apple Silicon. So I would obviously use caution before. I'd make sure that you checked appropriate websites or support forums or whatever to make sure that if you were going to alter the NVRAM on a Silicon Mac, that you consult them to make sure that somebody's done it and it works correctly. Because obviously, right, you can hear by the experience that she went through, and I certainly wouldn't want you to go through that. So,
and I lost no data. I lost no data whatsoever. Everything came back exactly the way it was before I entered the terminal. So
it's amazing how smart the operating system is, it is pretty incredible. So,
okay, great.
All
Thank
right.
you.
So we should move on, if that's okay with you. So we're going to learn, hopefully learn a little bit of the gibberish, the terminology that goes along with it. So this is the command line. When you open up the terminal, this is kind of what you see. The way you can tell what shell environment you're using is you can see the little $ there for the most part. The difference between the bash and the Z shell is if you see a hash, that indicates that you're using the bash shell. And if you see the $, that indicates that you're using the Z shell, which is the more modern one that Apple has defaulted to. So, and actually there's 6 different environments. And since I cut myself short on time here, I was going to go in and show you how to look and see all these shell environments and how to change them to one that you might want to, if you needed to or wanted to change shells, which I have not myself ever had the need to do that, but it was part of my presentation, and I'm going to skip through that right now to try to save a little bit of time because I have a lot of other things that I'd like to speak on. So to kind of give you an idea of what it is that you're looking at, for the most part, at the top of the window, the top of the terminal window on the left-hand side where the arrow shows, this is going to be your current directory. This shows that I'm actually in my home directory. this shows that the process is actually taking place. If you glance up there while you're doing something in the terminal, you'll see little things flash across the top of the screen, and that's actually what's taking place, what process is actually taking place while you're processing something in the terminal. And this obviously is the character resolution of what you're seeing on the screen, of which I'll show you how to make it bigger, because when you first open it up, it's quite a small window, and I'll show you how you can easily make it easier and more readable. So this is what they call the prompt that you see there. And this is obviously the cursor. And so there, for instance, this is how you would kind of dissect a command. A command here on right after where my cursor would be. When I would begin to type, the first command would be say, S-A-Y. So say is like, let's just use the example, eat, okay? And then we have an argument. So what should I eat? And then we have a flag or an option that says how you should eat it. How you should eat cereal fast, say, for instance. So the first one would be the command say. The flag is telling you, giving you the option of what you should eat, and then the other option is telling you how fast how to process that command for the most part, those flags, for instance. And I'll demonstrate some of those as we go along. So basic navigation. In the terminal, we refer to a folder actually as a directory. So you'll notice that when we start navigating here, we'll try to have to change our terminology from a folder to a directory, because that's kind of how, when we navigate, that'll be rather obvious to you. This is called the /, and the backslash is actually reserved for what is called an escape space. So you can't put spaces necessarily in your terminal commands. You have to either put the backslash and what you intend to type if you tend to leave a space, or you have to put your command in quotation marks. And that's how you achieve a space, because you can't actually leave a space in a terminal command. So the backslash is what they call an escape space that you'll use. And like I said, you can also use quotation marks, and I'll show you that as we go. So the tilde sign, which is just to the left of the 1 key on your keyboard, basically represents your home directory. This is when you're looking at your command line there, you can see it, or the prompt, as I should correct myself. You can tell what directory you're in. If it has the tilde there, that indicates that you're in your home directory. And here is a representation of the root directory. We're looking at the Macintosh HD with all the files and folders that are associated with the root directory. And just there's actually, just to let you know, and most of you are certainly aware, there's actually a lot more files that are invisible. These are the ones that you can see that are kind of grayed out there. These are files that are actually in your root directory that are invisible. And used to, you had to use a terminal command to go in there and to change the visibility of the hidden characters. Now it's a very simple stroke of keys to be able to show all those invisible characters. So you can actually use Command Shift period if you have ever had the need to be able to see what these files are that are invisible. So Command Shift period will reveal the hidden folders. You don't have to actually go in the terminal and do like you used to have to do to show your hidden files. So to begin with, we're going to talk about a few common commands that you'll see. Change directory, not change folder, but change directory. So therefore the abbreviation CD, mkdir, make directory. And then following that, which I'm sorry, I didn't put it up there, but remove directory is also rmdir. I don't have the example up there, I apologize, but rm with dir removes a directory. And obviously the remove command is something that you certainly want to use caution with. And so the RM could actually represent wrong move. So be sure when you're using the RM command that you're using it with caution. The ls command indicates list. It's abbreviation for list. And sudo is another one of these commands that you'll have to use caution with, because this actually puts you in what you call the root user mode. So it actually gives you access to files that you wouldn't ordinarily, as a normal user, have access to. So be very careful if you see or come across an article that says you need to use the sudo, which is sudo, or there's different ways of pronouncing it, but basically it's sudo. Or sudo, I guess you could say, but sudo is as I hear it, is the correct pronunciation. But basically, it does require your administration password for you to get into this level of the file system. So man is man page. This is where you can kind of get your help when on a command you really don't know too much about. You can type in man space and the command that you're seeking help for, and it'll give you a definition of what the command is, along with all of the little, like I showed you earlier, the flags that you can accompany with it to add all the options to that terminal command. PWD does not stand for password. It actually stands for print working directory. So although it doesn't print it, it actually just displays it on your screen. But PWD I'll demonstrate all these in just a moment. And this is something we'll catch on briefly, but once again, since I'm kind of short on time because I messed up with my connection here, chmod, change mode, basically is where you would actually change the permissions in the terminal of who and what you can do to a particular file. And you've probably seen that when you use the get info window. You can look down at the bottom and see what the rights are to that particular file. So, and we'll use exit to actually exit the terminal. So let's see, let's learn some basics. So dive in here, and I'm going to see if I can reduce my screen and see if I can get this to work here. I'm going to minimize my keynote, and y'all let me know if you can see the terminal pop up here. I'm guessing that's not working, is it? No, I'm not seeing anything, and I am sharing my desktop.
Is it the app isn't indicating that it's running, Tim?
Yeah, I know. That's what. Yeah, I'm not even able to. Did we not go through this before?
Can you do a force escape of the terminal and then turn it back on?
You know, I'm actually not able to click anything, which is odd. And I'm actually sharing my desktop. I'm not sharing the screen, which is yeah, buddy. This is weird. You and I went through this, and I was hoping we wouldn't have it. Yeah, I can't click on anything, unfortunately.
Tim, a suggestion: you do a Shift F3.
This is bizarre. See, I can't even click back on my
Listen to us, Tim.
Shift S3.
I know, yeah.
Shift
Anything?
F3.
Timothy Childers, you want to open up and make your comment?
Yeah.
If you have
that back up.
like I do, sometimes your screens go to a different window. I always operate with multiple desktops.
Okay. So are you seeing my terminal now?
Yeah, we do see it.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, just leave that window up there because obviously that got me back. So I appreciate that, Sheeta. I'm sorry. I know you and I was in hopes that we wouldn't encounter these kind of
no problem. That was Timothy Childers' suggestion. Thank you, Timothy Childers. I said Tim, and I forgot there are two Tims here. So thank you. All right. Tim Baker.
Yes.
Breathe. Okay.
So anyhow, so the first thing I wanted to show you, obviously, is how you can make this window larger. You hit the Command plus, and it actually can make as many times as you hit the Command plus, it's going to make the window that you're seeing larger. So I'm gonna zoom it way up so everybody can see what I'm typing in, and I'm just going to show some basic commands here. So catch up on my notes here. I apologize. So all right, and I said I wasn't going to show you, but I will show you real quick. So if I type in cat and a slash and etc /shells, it tells me there's no directory. Oh, it didn't type shells correctly. Sorry. So let's see if we can type shells correctly and see if that works. There we go. So that's a display that I was going to show you that shows all the different shell environments that are available to you right now. So the bash, the SCH dash KSH, SHT, you know, so forth and so on. And unfortunately, I can't explain to you all the differences between all those. So I'm gonna hit Command K and clear that and go back. That's a Command K, which is the shortcut to clear the screen, and just type in some basic little commands just to kind of show you how things work. So I'm going to type in date, and it basically displays the date. If I type in cal, it shows a calendar. So pretty much self-explanatory at that point in time. So if I want to know who am I type that in, it tells me who I am, who the user is that's operating the terminal at this point in time. If I want to see how long my computer's been on, I can type up uptime, and I can tell you, can see that since I rebooted, I've been up 34 minutes, and it shows that there's 2 users, and the so forth and so on. I'm not exactly sure what those last figures refer to exactly, but we're going to, if you wanted to keep your Mac from sleeping for a particular period of time, you can actually type in a command called caffeinate. Oops, hit the caps lock instead. Sorry about that. Yeah, I lost my place here. Sorry. And type in -T. And if I type in 3600, that actually indicates seconds. So that 3600 seconds represents obviously 1 hour. So if I wanted to keep my Mac awake and not allow it to sleep, this is how the terminal, this is the terminal command to prevent my computer from sleeping for 1 hour. So if I wanted to see what the address for a particular website is, I can type in ping, and it tells me basically the 142.151.32.206 is the address of that website, and it's continually pinging and telling me how fast I'm able to access Google for the most part. So once again, I'm going to hit Command K to clear the screen. I'm going to type in PWD, which is one of the examples that I showed a second ago. This will tell me what my working directory is, and you'll see that I'm in the users folder. So if I type in LS, it gives me the list of what is in the users folder. If I type in CD/documents, spell it correctly. I need to spell it correctly. Sorry about that. So that's where the terminal is pretty unforgiving. You know, you have to type things incorrectly. So now I'm actually moved into the documents folder, and if I type in LS there, you can see I can see the results of what's in that directory. I want to see if I can open a Finder window so you can actually see. I'm going to go in here and go into the documents folder and try to make, well, actually, let's see if I can find something that's not quite as crowded here. That's it's got a lot of stuff in there. I don't think there's anything there that's, all right. So let's go CD ... and go back. That moves this, excuse me, CD space ... That moves me back to the previous directory, and now I'm back into my users folder, and now I can change the directory into the where I want to go, the music folder. So now I'm in the music folder, and if I do a LS, you can see that what you see on the right in the Finder will be represented. So if I type LS, you can see those same files are represented there. So if I wanted to make a directory, I could go mkdir NMUG, and now you can see that I have indeed made an NMUG folder there. So this is just kind of showing you the interaction of how the terminal interfaces with the actual GUI. And if I wanted to remove that directory, I can go RMDIR space NMUG. And you can see that again, that folder actually disappears from my list there. There are some pretty interesting little things that are, let me close this window here, and I'm going to hit Command K, and excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hit Command K now and clear my screen. And there's some interesting things that are actually part of your operating system that are a little hidden for the most part. And this is kind of interesting. These are some informational files that if I go to, I'm going to go back to my space dot. I'm going to go back to my home folder here, and then I'm going to go to change the. I'm going to go to cd/usr/share/calendar. This is nothing that I added.
Misspelled
spell it
calendar.
correctly. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm trying to look at what I'm.
Misspelled calendar.
Yeah, we misspelled again. Yeah,
Okay.
like you said, I need to breathe. Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy. You know. So now I'm in the calendar directory. If I list that, I get an interesting list of all these different calendars. So if I want to see what is in the computer calendar, I can type in. Let's see, where is it? Let's try calendar computer. Okay, there it is. Okay. So we want to go to CAT. We're going to see the contents of that USR share CALENDAR slash CAL
share.
Spell check.
spell check up. Sorry about that. Oh my God. You know, these are the kind of things you just hope.
No. You have a great deal of wonderful help. I know
Yeah, I
some of
do.
those voices.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Now, if this works, there you go. You can see these dates that are actually, this is actually in your operating system. And all you do is go to the terminal and you type in those commands, and you can actually see these significant dates. And for the most part, none of us had any idea that this is something that's actually hidden and fun to look at. That's hidden within your operating system. So there's lots of different calendars available to you. Birthstones, birth dates, you know, like for instance, if I wanted to type in, let me see if I can do this. In fact, you can use the up and down arrows to come back to commands that you used previously. So hopefully I can type in a command without making having a spelling problem here now, because I'm just going to substitute what I typed there and type in birthday. See if I can type that. Whoop, look at that. Look at that. Back to that. Try birthday. Why? It's backspace. Space. Get rid of that character there. There we go. DAY. And then I'm going to type in, I'm going to put what they call a pipe command. I'm going to hit the shift key and puts a little line in there and a GREP, yes, I apologize. I'm sorry. I apologize for being a little nervous. So
Okay,
this is my debut and I'm messing up here. So for the most part, this is going to give you the grep command takes me to that specific date in that birthday calendar to show you what happened on my birthday for the most part. So February the 21st being my birthday, I cannot pronounce that gentleman's name, but for the most part, that was the date in 1838 that the spyglass was developed. So this is probably just total nonsense for most of you watching, but it is, you know, it's entertaining. And this is the kind of geeky stuff that I just enjoy playing with the terminal and run across things like this. So
okay, I got a question because I love that. So I can type in and ask terminal to like I have a calendar of like a specific category, certain dates that I might want to find out what has been happening the last 5 years. I can tell terminal to show me all of those dates on that under that category?
Yeah, I'm not sure how you would define the year. Let me see. So if I go,
Well, I'm not trying to define the year, but you have listed here. Oh, I see. So this might just be just 1 year that I'm looking at. But if I just tell that calendar, say a to-do list, I have a calendar of to-do lists.
yeah, I
So
don't
if
know. I don't know that it's going to be that's
that simple.
specific.
Okay.
Let me see. I'm trying to figure out. I want to get to show you what. These are the calendars that I was back at a minute ago. That's calendars for birthdays. Dutch
Right.
calendar, French calendar, so forth and so on. And I'm not really sure how you would query a particular range of years.
I don't want even, let's just say, show me the whole thing. Show me everything under that category. Could it do that?
Oh yeah. So if I go back
geez,
here
thank
and
you.
don't type in
Wonderful.
and don't
Yeah.
type in the like for instance, I type in computer, COMPUTER. I choose, where am I? There it is right there. For the most part, that gives me the entire computer calendar from January, when I typed it in, from 1/1. AT&T officially divest local Bell companies in 1984. If I scroll down through the dates, that's the year basically.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful to know.
It's
Okay.
it's not actually, it's different years though. You see, this one's
That's okay.
1984, this
That's
one's
okay.
1970. It's
But
just
that's okay.
highlights of particular years. Yeah. Okay.
But that's okay.
So
That's okay. That's quite
we're
all
gonna
right.
move on because I got lots to show here.
All right.
Hopefully.
Okay, go ahead.
So this is where I want to show you the man command. Say for excuse, not Mac, man. Let me go back and change directories here. So I'm going to go back, CD space ... Go back to, and we're going to go back again, CD ... And we'll go back to user, and we're going to go. I want to get back into my. Well, let me just do this. I go CD. It'll take me into my home folder. See, all I get, there's that little tilde that I talked about. So now my present working directory, I'm back now in my home folder. That's where I wanted to be. And you can see when I was messing around up there, I didn't get back to the easiest way to do it is just type in that CD space tilde folder, and that puts you back in your home folder. So what I wanted to do was, if I type in MAN calendar, say for instance, see if I can spell it correctly. It should give me, here we go. It tells me the name of the command and all of the flags that go along with that. And this may help you, Sheeta, if there's something. I have not played with these flags.
Yeah, I'm fine. Mm-hmm.
But there may be something there that describes maybe what you are looking for specifically. But this is the man page, and you can do this with pretty much any command. It just gives you a very detailed description of how to use that command. Is the man command, MAN. So
Wonderful, thank you.
okay, so now I'm going to see if I can break out of this. This is one of the things that I have trouble with sometimes. Tell you what we're going to do. We're just going to open up a new window. There we go. Just to say, just to save time for that. So,
okay.
I'll make this bigger. Oh, no, I did it wrong. Look at that. My apologies. My sincere apologies.
Keith Kaiser says enter Q. Keith, you want to open up?
There's a question.
Yeah, I was just saying that all you have to do is, if you're in a man page, just hit the Q, not command Q or anything else. Just
thank
Q.
you. See, I knew there was going to be
Right
somebody else that knows more than I do, so I appreciate that. I'm not beyond correction. So if you see me doing something incorrectly, I do appreciate that. I don't have a problem with that at all. Thank you so very much. But yeah, Q. Thank you. I should have written that in my notes or researched it myself, because I've always had trouble in getting out of the man page. But the Q will do it. So thank you very much. So. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and see if we can. I'm going to go on to basically to the next slide here. I think we've shown enough of the sample commands here.
Tim,
now,
you have
yes.
about 12 to 14 minutes.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm so bad. That
Go ahead. Go ahead.
taking them. So we're going to go back to file permissions. Basically, this is kind of what I was talking about, the get info window down at the bottom. You can see who has the privileges for that particular disk images. I have the read write images and the staff, and everyone else just has the read images. This is how I would need to show you basically how to show this list. It's the ls list command space -L will give you the long list. And that's when you'll see the permissions and the sizes and more details on each file. And this is how permissions are basically represented in a octal notation. So this a 6 represents read write with no execution, and 4 represents read, and then basically this shows you a graph of how all those numbers work for the most part. You would want to give a file like, for instance, 666, because that would give everybody read write permissions, and you wouldn't want to give everybody the 777, because that means everybody that can actually read write and execute. So for the most part, it's going to be combinations of those numbers, like 755, for instance, is a pretty common one. So let's see. We have just running out of time here. So what this is this is one of the examples that you might run into, since I'm running short on time, and I apologize, I had so much to show. So this is another one of those commands that you may run into having to do, and that's disable the system integrity protection, which is something that's safe to do temporarily. And so you would hold down the Command R key, you'd enter recovery mode, you go to the utilities folder, open the terminal, and you would type in the command CSR util disable, and you would disable what they call SIP, the system integrity protection. And then it should display a message, obviously telling it it's been disabled, and you hit restart. And now you can check the status to make sure it has been disabled by checking CSR util status, and it will tell you what the status is. Now you want to be sure that after you perform the function that's requiring this, that you go back in and re-enable the system integrity protection. Now, the rare occasions that you would possibly need this is in file recovery, for instance, to give the file recovery software total rootless, basically, access to your computer by disabling the SIP. This is a little command that I got from last year from Joey Kissel, that he demonstrated the way to get iCloud Drive going again. You open up the terminal and you type kill all bird, semicolon, kill all cloud with double D, and that will nudge iCloud into functioning. So this was the one that I've run into several times, where, for instance, you get a hand-me-down computer and all of a sudden you're stuck and you have no admin user. You can go in, you can basically type these commands. There's lots of places where you can find this example posted, and I'm going to show you where I obtained most of my examples for the most part. You boot into what they call the single user mode, and you wait until you see that little root symbol, and you type in the sbin fsk -fk fy, and follow these steps for the most part. And what you do is you're putting a file called Apple Setup Done back into service. So when you reboot the Mac, you're presented with the setup again. So you can actually create a new admin user for your computer. I've actually run into this in the field during my consulting, where someone has inherited, or they quit, they left, they deleted the admin user, and then you're left with the computer with all the data on. You don't want to have to restore the computer, but you just want to add an admin user back to it. This is a simple way to recover an admin user for your computer without having to do a restore. So to summarize, the terminal, to use the terminal app to run a shell, which provides a command line interface to the Mac OS, a variety of Unix, which is a non-graphical portion known as Darwin in this case. So there was more questions. I'm going to skip unless you just have something pertinent, because I just really do want to show this if I have time.
Go ahead, Tim. Go ahead.
So you can add features to your terminal. This is one of my favorites. This is called Homebrew, and it's perfectly safe because it does not use the sudo command in any circumstance to load these packages into the computer. It's what they call a package manager. The Mac OS itself does not have a package manager. So there's a couple other popular ones out there, but Homebrew just works. So that was probably going to be the most popular one to operate. And you can expand and enhance the capabilities of your terminal by what are called these packages. And for the most part, you just follow the steps. A package refers to a compressed archive that contains all the files for that particular application, the binary executable, the configuration file, and sometimes information about the dependencies that file, that package depends on to operate. So it's all techno speak for app, basically an app. So I was going to try to demonstrate some of them, and I don't know that I'm going to have time to do that, but this is printed on the Homebrew page to where you can easily copy and paste and install Homebrew onto your computer. There's a cheat sheet available to you that you can download that gives you some of the simple commands to use. This is yet another service that's available to you. And back in Catalina, when Catalina came out, Emacs used to be on the Mac, but now Emacs is no longer on the Mac. And so you can go to this particular website, and if you like, and download the graphical user interface of Emacs, or you can use Homebrew to actually install the command line interface for Emacs. And that was one of the things that I wanted to show, which I don't think I'm going to have time to. But iTerm 2 is a more advanced replacement for your built-in terminal. When you become more proficient in using the terminal, this offers you a whole bunch more features that you can tweak and mess with as you become more familiar. Just going to see if I can do a couple little fun things. Just how much time do I have? I have 5 minutes, probably 5 or 10 minutes. So let me just show you a couple little things if I can go back to the terminal. And this was one of my that I did install with Homebrew. Some of these are just, for the most part, just nonsensical. They're just fun. If I type in CMATRIX, yep, I guess I did not load that. I apologize. So let me try this one. I do. All righty. And I'm just going to copy and paste this command here if I can. Which I can't. It's not letting me. Okay. So I'm going to type in NODE dash. I really feel bad that I've messed up and
Don't worry about it.
got too many.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, Tim. You're doing fine. Stuff happens.
This is a fun one if it works. You can make yourself look like you're busy for the most part. All this is JavaScript that you run. So if your boss comes over and looks over your shoulder, you can see that your computer screen is taken up with all this nonsense, and you're, for the most part, just like I said, some of these are just nonsense, but they're fun. This is how to make your computer look like a Hollywood terminal for the most part. So let me see if I have another fun one to type real quick, like if I can do that.
Do you have the train?
Oh yeah, the train. Yeah, you bet. You remember that. Okay, so if you made a mistake, for instance, instead of typing LS, if you type SL, you get a steam locomotive. So once again, something just a little entertaining. It doesn't do anything other than just entertain.
Sometimes we need that.
So I'm going to move on here. I apologize for running out of time. So hopefully your screen doesn't ever come up with that. I've been hacked. These are some of my favorite movies that I like to watch that have show the terminal. This is actually a new on Apple TV. It's a story about the game of Tetris. I did want to show you, which I don't have time to do, unfortunately, how Tetris was at one time when Emacs was on your Mac. Tetris was actually one of the hidden games that you could get to by typing in a particular command, and you can access a whole list of games that are actually hidden within the Emacs editor. Unfortunately, I don't have time to show you. So how do you learn more about the terminal? I'm going to drop a plug for Dan's tutorials, for instance. One of you guys' favorite members there, Dan Wozniak's tutorial page has some great terminal offerings there. Gary Rosenbrig with MacMost has been a presenter. His website contains videos and lots of examples of how to learn to use your terminal. There's YouTube. Just search on YouTube. The channels are plentiful for learning how to use the terminal. Multiple websites are available. Apple's got tremendous help built into the terminal. Basically just going up to the help, which a lot of people forget is available. Just go to, when you have the terminal open, just go to help, and it's available to you that way. Some of the more popular websites, the ones that I've been to, this particular one is available through the Colorado College, is a nice free Unix tutorial that takes you through a lot of things that obviously I'm not going to have time or the ability to discuss. LinuxCommand.org is another website. Linux and Unix are kissing cousins for the most part, except for one is open source and one is not. So the commands are for the most part alike. There are podcasts out there. This one is Taming the Terminal. This particular book is, as I'll show you in a second, is available in the Apple bookstore. I want to take a shout out and thank Joey Kissel. I actually emailed him yesterday. This is one of the books that I used extensively to prepare this presentation for, and I let Joey know that I was using a lot of examples from his book, and he was so kind as to offer us as a group, if you go to Take Control Books /command-line and enter in this discount code, he will offer you the very book that I took those examples from at a 30% discount. So CPN 90219 MUG, if you would like to write that down.
And I just put that in the chat, so remember to copy your chat.
I've got 5 minutes. So anyway, it was.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I certainly want to thank him for interacting with me. I just obviously did not want to violate any of his copyright laws in some of the examples that I offered. That were, the book is wonderful, and I can highly recommend it. It's a constantly referred to resource for me. Take control of the command line with terminal. This was the other one that I was speaking of. It's actually available through Apple Books. Taming the Terminal. You can go to Apple Books and find this one. Once again, this is an interactive booklet that will help you learn the terminal. This is an old booklet, but obviously the commands still apply to the current OS, even though this was published some years ago. It's out there, Learning Unix. Can't exactly remember what the publish date on it, but I know it's at least 10 years old. But Sheeta and I touched on that even old text can contain valuable information. So this is another one that I refer to on somewhat of a regular basis, called Tweak Your Mac Terminal. This is pretty current book. These are available through Amazon. This one in particular is for you, Sheeta, because you asked me about the fun of using a terminal. So this is Command Line Comedians, a humorous guide to using Linux terminal commands. So if you can kind of get over some of his, I don't know, he kind of goes overboard with some of his ridiculousness in presenting the topic, but it does have a lot of useful information in it. And it was just published last month, April the 6th, 2023. It's a brand new book, and it is kind of fun to read, and it is available through Amazon also. So now that you're a pro, go out and get the shirt. There you go. And this command, obviously, do not use this command. It's kind of a joke among terminal users. This is how you delete everything on your computer. So this is a sudo command that remove, and it's a recursive remove all the files with a wildcard on the end of it. It'll wipe your computer completely clean. So don't use that command, but go get the shirt.
Okay.
So for the most part, that's it.
And I want to say that, like, some of the practical uses that I have had for the terminal, I had a computer that, for whatever reason, did not want to delete the trash, and it actually was a certain file in the trash.
Yes.
So I had one of my friends write a terminal command for me
Yes.
that would delete the trash no matter what.
Yeah,
So
and
that was a very practical use for me.
And
Aside, yeah, go ahead, Tim. I'm sorry.
I have some of those examples, but I was unable to show them. I apologize.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to, put that in there because the terminal has some really effective practical examples for daily use like that. Other than reinstalling my operating system at the time, I didn't know how to delete these files. They just would not go away.
No.
So my friend wrote this terminal command for me, and boom, every time I used it, it worked perfectly. All right.
Kind of force empties the trash. Yes. Mhm.
Yes. Okay. All right. So with that, basically it is time. Tim, thank you for a very informative presentation. And please, you're really hard on yourself. You really are. So don't be. Everything will just work out fine.
I wanted, for the most part, I wanted it to be entertaining and informative.
I know you wanted to do well.
User groups are sharing information, and you all just do such a tremendous job doing that.
And Tim, you're added to the pile, so don't worry about it. You're harder on yourself than you should be. All right. With that,
I was going to say I've done probably hundreds of these, and I still make mistakes. So
absolutely.
It happens.
Everyone, can we please get you to unmute yourself and thank Tim?
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Presentation.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm
I
dizzy.
really hope somebody learned. Everybody learned something.
I did. I learned something. So thank you. All right. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Dan.
Oh, boy.
All right. Yes, thank you, Tim. And like I said, we've all done it. We've all been there, and we're still doing it. I still make mistakes on a regular basis. So next week we are going to, don't forget, we're going to have Jason Snell. What's that?
Everyone, please let Dan finish.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We're going to have Jason Snell with us, and he's going to be talking about WWDC. You don't want to miss that. Apple has introduced a new product, as we probably all know. And everything that I've read, we are at a paradigm. This is kind of thing. So we won't want to miss that. Outside of that, thank you, everyone. And thanks for your support. And we'll see you next week.